Today I will be showing you how to make a granny square, like this cardigan that I have started. It begins in the middle and works its way out. And you could just keep going and going and going, just like this. Today I will be using Crafty Things double knit yarn, which is 99p at Home Bargains if you're in the UK. This is a DK yarn and it recommends a 4mm hook, but I always size up at least 1mm for granny squares because I quite like the loose, baggy kind of look. So I'm using a 6mm today. So to begin, you can either do a magic circle or a chain to form the middle hoop that you'll be working in. I will show you how to make it with the chain because it's easier, and in another video I can do a magic circle tutorial and you can decide if you want to use that. So do a slip knot as usual and chain 3. Three chains. Insert your hook into the very first chain that you did. Yarn over, pull through, and instead of yarning over and pulling through like you would with a single crochet, you're gonna just pull that hoop through again, and that's called a slip stitch. Now the next part can be a little tricky to see. Now you're not working into the very obvious big hole that's there. If you just kind of dig in a little bit and see there's another hole in there, you can only just see it a little bit. There. Underneath all of your stitches, not through a stitch. So begin by chaining 2 and then double crochet, yarn over, put through the smaller hoop, not the big one, the smaller one. It will get a lot easier to see once you've put a few in there. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now you can see the hole is a lot easier to see. Do another double crochet, so yarn over, insert into the same hole, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through. The first chain 2 counts as a double crochet, so we've now done 3, and that's your first cluster. Now to make a corner, you will always chain 2 on the corners. One is for that side and then one is for like the top, so it kind of makes a corner like that. Now in the same hole that you've been working in, double crochet another 2 double crochets. So 3 double crochets again. You can move them a little bit to the side if it gets a little short for space. So now you have another cluster of 3, and this will be your corner. It will look more like a square, I promise. So you're going to do another corner, so chain 2, double crochet 3 into the center, which is a lot bigger now that you've worked into it a few times. and 3. So the reason why the magic circle is better is because you can pull the tail and it closes that hole in the middle. Whereas when you do a chain, you can't do that. But I think because of the pattern of the granny square, like it already has holes in the corners, it looks fine. And if you were making a hat and you had a pom-pom on the top, then it wouldn't matter either. Okay. So now we have 2 corners, which as you can see looks a lot, starting to look more square now. You've got your chain 2, 2 double crochets, 3 double crochets, and 3 double crochets. Now you're going to chain 2 again to make the 3rd corner. You can slide these along a little bit if it makes it a little better. Then do another 3 double crochets into the center. And now you have 3 corners. Now chain 2 for the last corner. But because we have already done that side, we just need to attach our corner. So if you look at your chain 2, insert your hook into the top of the chain 2, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through, which, as I said earlier, that's a slip stitch. It can be a little tricky to, see if I can get this to focus. It can be a little tricky to like wiggle it through just because you are slip stitching. And that's your first square. At the beginning of every row, you will chain 2, which is your first double crochet. Now to start row 2, you will double crochet into the chain space behind, the corner behind, not the one in front, behind. So do 2 double crochets, which makes 3 altogether, as the chain 2 is a double crochet. And then you'll have a new cluster. Now, unlike the first row, you will not be chaining 2, because chaining 2 is only for corners, making corners, not going into corners. When you're not making a corner, it's just a chain 1. So the only things you need to remember is chain 2 for corners, chain 1 for not corners. And now 3 double crochets into that next chain 2 space. Can kind of shuffle them along a little bit. Now, because you're making a corner, you're going to chain 2. And now you will work 3 double crochets into the same corner. So you've got one cluster like to that side, and then you'll have one like on the top. So 1, 2, 3. So to begin with, you've done a chain 2 and worked 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space behind, not in front, behind. Then a chain 1 because it's not a corner, 3 double crochets, a chain 2 because it is a corner, and then another 3 double crochets into that same space. Now, because it's not a corner, we will chain 1 and then 3 double crochets into that chain 2 space from the previous round. One, two, three. And I like to just push them along a little bit just to make a bit of space, but you don't have to do that. And now, because you're making a corner, you will chain 2 and then 3 double crochets into that same space. So now you've got 2 corners. Now chain 1 because it's not a corner, and then 3 double crochets into the chain 2 space. And now, because it's a corner, you chain 2 and then another 3 double crochets into the same space. Now you've got 3 corners. So you can see it's starting to look like a square now. And then chain 1 because it's not a corner, and then 3 into that one where you've already done the 3, because we always do 2 clusters in each. So 1, 2, 3. And now to make the last corner, chain 2 and then insert your hook into the top of that 2 chains, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through that hoop again. And again, to begin the next row, you will chain 2, 3 double crochets into this one, well 2 including the chain, it will be 3. So 1, 2, so the chain counts as 1. And then because it's not a corner, you chain 1, and you only put 3 into this one because it's not a corner. You don't need to do 2 sets. So you just do 3. 1, 2, 3. And then chain 1 because it's not a corner, and then 3 into here. Remember, because it is a corner, you're going to chain 2, and you get the idea. You're going to do another 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3, chain 1, 3, chain 2, 3. So you're working 3 for every chain is an easy way to remember it. So because there's 2 chains in the corner, you're doing 2 sets. So this is what it should start to look like. And then when you're done, you can just keep going around and around and around for as big as you want. And in another video I can show you how to make a cardigan or other things out of granny squares, because you can make your squares as big as you want, and then with these squares you can make pretty much anything you can think of. You can make bags, scarves, blankets, cardigans, anything you can make.